All right, so you've decided you want to make content. You've committed. What type of content do you actually make? Do you make short form or do you make long form content? Do you make broad content or do you make niche content? Is the content that you make educational or personal? And is the content that you make going to be created, curated, commented on, or captured? And what do these questions even mean? Well, essentially, these questions are asking what length you should make the content in, what you should make the content about, and in what format you should make the content as well. And these are the questions that we're going to look to answer in this video. Right? So let's start with what length. Short or long form content, right? So to answer this question, we first have to understand how attention works in the modern attention economy, right? In the modern attention economy, to turn a stranger into a paying client, you first must generate their attention and make them aware that you exist through our content, right? However, generating attention itself is not enough, right? Because anyone can send a cold DM, anyone can send a cold email, anyone can stand on top of a table and yell at a McDonald's, right? It's very easy to generate attention. You must then own the attention. So you can have conversations with your prospects over and over and over again, right? So generating that attention might look like showing up on their Explore page. Owning their attention might look like them giving you a follow, right? Now, once you've owned their attention, you don't have to nurture their attention, right? And make them build trust in you and goodwill and education in your product or service as well, right? And once you've done this for a prolonged period of time, once you've nurtured their attention for a prolonged period of time, you can convert that attention into the end result that you want, which is a paying client, right? These are the 4 attention mechanisms. And these 4 attention mechanisms actually also correspond with attention span, right? When you're first trying to generate someone's attention, why would they watch a 3-hour video of yours, right? When you're first trying to generate someone's attention, they're not willing to pay attention to you for as long of a time because they don't trust that that video is actually going to be worth their investment. Right? And the investment they're making here is not with their money, but it's with their time, right? But as you've owned their attention and as they've seen you and they've heard you speak for longer and longer periods of time, right? They start to trust that the insights that you have are actually valuable and are worth their time, right? Which is why when you're trying to nurture and convert that attention, people are more invested in you and they're willing to pay attention to you for a longer period of time, right? What does this mean? Well, essentially, this means that when you're first trying to generate attention, right, you should start with shorter form pieces of content because it's easier to show up on their page and start building that goodwill and trust in your service, right? But as you're trying to nurture that attention and convert that attention into the result that you want, which is a paying client, it's good to have longer form pieces of content, right? Whether that's through YouTube or whether that's through email sequences, whether that's through a free community of yours that you have, right? So that you can actually show your expertise and build trust in you and your service over a prolonged period of time, right? Generating and owning attention through short form and nurturing and converting attention through longer form pieces of content in a hybrid is how you can create a really, really strong social funnel, right? Now, this content, what do you make it about? Do you make it educational or do you make it personal? Do you make it broad or do you make it niche? Well, the interesting thing here is that each of these 4 attention mechanisms actually correspond to one of the most powerful concepts in marketing, which is the AIDA model, right? And it stands for awareness, interest, desire, and action. And this is the process or the funnel that a stranger must take to turn into a paying client, right? So how do we get complete strangers to go through this process and turn into paying customers? Well, it's through the type of content that we make, right? So to first make someone aware of us, right? We have to have audience building content that attracts a broad group of people so you can get a lot of people into your ecosystem so you can start having conversations with them, right? Then to make them interested in you and interested in your product or service and make them believe that it can help them, we want brand building content that builds a brand and gets them interested in us, right? To make them then desire your product or service, right? Because in interest, they know it can help them. Them desiring it is them wanting to help them. We then need selling content that's getting them closer to taking an action, which is a CTA, right? So ads, stories, and keywords. And the interesting thing about these, right, is that each of these pieces of content actually has a very specific purpose, right? Audience building content, the content that's made to generate awareness is meant to get people to know you, right? Brand building content is meant to get people to like you. Selling content is meant to get people to trust you. And we know that people buy from people that they know, like, and trust, which is then when we can have a CTA, right? Through retargeting ads, through stories, through keyword campaigns to get them to buy, right? It's through these pieces of content, right, that you're able to take people through the AIDA model, right, and get people to know, like, and trust you, and then finally convert and pay you money and turn into the paying client that you want, right? Now, the interesting thing about this, and what's important to note here, is that as they go through this process, not only does their attention span increase, but they also get more invested in us, right? And as they get more invested in us, we want to move away from giving away the information to selling the implementation, right? So the content that we make when we're first trying to generate attention and make people know us, it's going to be content that is super actionable, right? Because the easiest way to get a lot of people to know you is to be super valuable and give them a bunch of information that they can see quick wins with, right? But as we're trying to get people to like us, right, we want to move away from content we want to move to content that's less actionable, right? And that's more designed to build a brand, right? Once you've done that, then you want to move towards selling content that's less actionable, but is moving closer towards selling the implementation of the information you've already given them, right? It's through that process that you're truly able to take a complete stranger into someone that knows, likes, and trusts you and is willing to pay you money, right? How do you go about doing this? Like, what specifically do you do in your content to do this, right? Well, for audience building content, you want to create content that gets their attention by giving them value, which is instantly actionable, right? It's an exchange you're making. I give you value in exchange for your attention, right? So let's say you're an editor, okay? You could create content about you showing a secret editing shortcut. If you're an ad expert, you could show how you do your ad targeting. If you're a graphic designer, you could show the best font for a certain use case. And if you're an email marketer, you could show the most effective email headline for a given product or service, right? Now for brand building content, the purpose here is to gain their interest by showing that you're interesting, right? This is sharing your story, being vulnerable, connecting, truly being a human and not just a robot who just spews out a bunch of information, right? You can do this, okay, by sharing your dreams, your fears, your failures, your suspicions, your enemies, right? Speaking about your hobbies, interests, curiosities, philosophies, stories, right? Being a true human that they can connect with on a deeper emotional level. That's how you get people to like you. You have to get them to trust you, okay? You need to position yourself as the expert authority and the only one who can solve their problems, right? You do this by showing them concrete evidence of you helping people that are similar to them, right? You do this through case studies, result photos, testimonials, client success stories, right? Showing them people that you've helped that are in a very similar position to them get to the dream desired situation that they also want to get to. Now, to actually convert them and to actually make them take an action, you need to make it easy for them to say yes by giving them something to say yes to, right? So you can do this very easily through keyword campaigns, right? DM me X to receive application Y, right? You can do it through stories, right? Slide up to apply for my new program, right? And retargeting ads, right? Ads that show concrete evidence of you helping your dream clients get to their dream desired situation and showing them that they can do it as well. That's how this process is how you can create a true evergreen content system that allows you to always bring in new people into your ecosystem and allows you to nurture that audience until finally they're ready to convert into the end result that you want. Now you'll notice that as you've been creating audience building content to be known, brand building content to be liked, and selling content to be trusted, you'll start moving away from informational content to transformational content. But there's actually a step further than this, right? Once you've been creating audience building content, brand building content, and selling content, and you've become known, liked, and trusted, and you've been creating this type of content for iterations and iterations and iterations, and once you've been posting for long enough, and you've gained all the aspects of known, liked, and trustedness from your market, you'll notice that you start to become revered, right? This is where people have a deep admiration and respect of you, and they truly want to be like you, right? When this happens, you'll notice that you start moving away from informational content and transformational content to aspirational content, right? This is when we can create cult building content, which is as it sounds. It's content that's meant to make people band behind your movement, right? This is where the halo effect really kicks in, right? Here's how this works. So when you're creating informational content, you can make content about, here's how I close my sales calls. Transformational content, here's how many sales calls I've closed. And aspirational content, here's what I eat for breakfast before my sales calls, right? You'll notice that as you start to become known, liked, and trusted, you'll start gradually shifting towards aspirational content. And this is where the halo effect really kicks in. And people start truly wanting to know what you do in your day-to-day life and take them essentially as a leading indicator to your success, right? They'll start looking at the habits that you do and the things that you do on your day-to-day and contribute those to being why you're so successful, Okay, now in what format should you make the content in? Should you create the content? Should you curate the content? Should you comment on the content, or should you capture the content, right? So you can publish content that you've created, right? By ideating, scripting, filming, and editing all by yourself, right? This is going to be a big part of this program. You can publish content that you've curated, right? By finding an audio that you like and putting it over your own video footage, right? So taking the ambience, the vibrance, the vibe of an audio, right? And making your own by putting your own video footage over it, right? You can also comment on different content, right? This is by giving your take on a specific clip, right? Piggybacking off of someone's opinion, off of someone's video, right? And you can do this by having a green screen, right? Reacting to the video, breaking the video down, remixing the video, right? And you can also capture the content, right? Where you're documenting your life in action. Where instead of ideating and scripting, right? All you're doing is filming and editing your life in action.